What do you get when you take a shoot 'em up and remove the shooting? A dodge 'em up is what this indie roguelike has chosen to call itself, and I'd say that's not a half-bad descriptor. Swordship just came out by the time you're watching this, and it's definitely a slick-looking shmup with a fun gimmick. It takes its no-shooting twist and pushes it to the limit by making your positioning your sole offensive option. Its arcadey score-chasing focus and narrow design will ensure it only appeals to a very particular type of person, but if the idea of squeezing a system for as many points as you can appeals to you, then you'll definitely like Swordship. Any half-hour run of Swordship is divided among 3 different worlds with 3 levels in each, the primary objective within being to collect a certain amount of packages. The packages need to be both picked up and delivered, so at set intervals in your high-speed descent, you'll have spawn indicators you'll need to navigate to in order to perform both respective actions. But the challenge, of course, is that just because there's no shooting doesn't mean there's no enemies. You'll be on the receiving end of bullets and flamethrowers and lasers the entire time. But here's where it gets pushed to 11. Without shooting, the game frees itself up to focus on positioning near exclusively. But it also means said positioning is pulling double duty. Enemies can friendly fire each other, and their attacks are very well telegraphed, very predictable, and very readable. This is all extremely intentional because tricking your foes into attacking each other is the only attack you have, and that rigidity helps ensure you can stay in full control of where attacks are going, even if it's not your finger that's pulling the trigger. The most basic of enemy will usually fire a bullet in your direction, so the best way to abuse that is to stand right in front of another enemy, then dodge out of the way at the last possible second, either by moving to the side or ducking underwater. There's other attack patterns and types, but they all thrive on the same basic near-miss gameplay style. You'll need to get uncomfortably close to your foes and hang there for longer than you want to in order to secure kills, made all the more stressful by the fact that you only have 1 HP. That high lethality is softened just a bit by a live system, and that live system's integration into the game's mechanics is probably the coolest element of Swordship's arcadey design. Rather than just being the buffer between you and your next proverbial quarter, lives here are actually tied to the packages you're couriering. For each package safely delivered to the end of a level, you'll get a choice. Donate that package to boost your score, or keep it and get an extra life. For every kept package, you'll also get a choice of a roguelike bonus for the rest of the run. It's an interesting risk-reward mechanic that gives you a lot of incentive to play it close to the wire and keep that life counter threateningly low, rather than just having it build to the point of irrelevancy. But these packages have a third mid-run purpose as well. You can detonate a package while you're carrying it and have it act as your screen-clearing shmup bomb, while forgoing the high score bonus or extra life it would have given if it had made it to the end of the level. The totality of how these packages interact with your score, your lives, and your bombs make them one of the most compelling answers to the game design question of whether or not live systems belong outside of the arcades, and they give you a ton of agency in how you want to play. But what I really think might be Swordship's core pillar isn't a new mechanic at all, but instead a refined execution of genre staples. The color choice is obvious and high contrast to ensure important boons and banes are well telegraphed as they come in. Enemies don't just swoop into frame, but instead get these summoning animations of splashing water, indicating where you need to get out of the way. It all feels very purposeful, and you'll seldom feel like your death was the game's fault or came out of nowhere. There's not much else to talk about because that's all Swordship wants to be. In many ways, it feels like it's a game jam idea pushed to its limits and polished to a mirror sheen. But overall, it's a really tightly executed design with fundamentals that resonated with me. Hell, even its premise is a globally warmed Earth covered in water where you steal from the rich and give to the poor while delivering packages, which is a combination of my 3 favorite Kevin Costner movies. But I do mean premise and not story, because this is all information dished out in an intro and between loading screens and basically nowhere else. Make no mistake, Swordship is an arcade game first and a roguelike second, and it puts all of its eggs into its core dodge-em-up basket. Its content is pretty thin by most standards, and it's unlikely that the small variants from run to run between its ship types, upgrades, and even weather mechanics are going to give you runs where you have super differentiated experiences. But even if you're unlikely to run to your friends about the crazy upgrade combination you had, you may run to them about the new high score you just got. Swordship's hyper-focus on its high-speed dodging action makes it a thrill to play, and while that narrow scope won't work for everyone, it also ensures that what is here is both perfectly executed and working double shifts to justify their inclusion. If you're the kind of person who enjoys chasing high scores, or even if you enjoy watching a simple game design question get answered to its fullest potential, then you definitely shouldn't let Swordship dodge you.